Saint Narona Emu is finally here on Elbaf, and we might just see the death of Emu right here in Elbaf. Everyone, this is Motion and welcome to another one of our videos. And before we move on to the real chapter discussion, I would like to request every one of you guys watching this video to please consider liking, sharing and subscribing to our channel Motion. And with the self-introduction out of the way, let's get back into the main video. Because we have the king of the world, Narona Emu, finally in action. This chapter of One Piece had a lot of things to discuss, but let's just talk about the main thing of the whole chapter, and that is the reveal of Emu and his design, and we just know how he looks like right now. The shot of Emu we just saw at the end of this chapter was from afar, so we just don't know a lot about how he looks like, although a lot of people are pointing out that he just looks like a Lunarian. Although in every other anime we saw, the devil's skin color is kind of reddish, so I would not be shocked in his official design his skin color is reddish. He will be looking like a pure devil at that point of the time, but he could also be Lunarian. We just don't know about that, so let's just wait and see how his official coloring goes. Now let's just talk about the second biggest thing we could be pointing out from this chapter, and I also told about this in our intro, and that is the death of Emu in Elbaf. So there were two different strike points we could note here in this chapter alone that would be pointing towards a death of someone, possibly Emu, because we just saw two things, right? So the first strike point here would be coughing of blood. When Emu arrives in Elbaf, we just saw he cough out some sort of black gooish thing. That is probably blood. In the official color scheme, we'll just see that he's just coughing out blood. And when Emu is revealed, you could also see blood dripping out from his lips. Again, the color scheme is not yet out, so a lot of people are saying it is kind of Emu's devilish gooish thing, but I would still say that it is blood. And whenever a character is weak or he is going to die, just assume Whitebeard, right? When he was going to Paramount War to save Ace, we all knew that he was ill and he was coughing out blood and he was not his full strength. So same thing is going on with Emu. Emu is probably ill of some sort, because again, my boy is been living out for over 1,000 years at this point, so he might just have some sort of illness, and that is the reason why he's probably not at his peak strength and he could just be dying. Now there is another thing to note here, and that is when the Elder Stars were talking to Emu, they were pretty much sad and they were probably grieving at this point of the time, because you could see in a panel Marcus Marx was probably about to cry, right? My boy was about to cry at that point when Emu said that, hey, I'm going to leave the castle. So there is something going on with Emu, and probably I would guess that there is a curse put on him by, let's just say, a random person, maybe Davy Jones or Lily, that he cannot leave the castle. So him leaving the castle could be a pointing that the curse is now activated, and that is why Emu coughed out blood when he just reached Elbaf. Although that is a guess, he could probably be ill and there might not be any type of curse. So let's just not go there, because probably in the next chapter we are also going to find out what is the reason of his illness. But now let's move on to the second strike point that is going towards Emu's death, and that is a flashback. We just saw a whole Emu's flashback. We just saw Rock's Razorback, Roger, Paramount War, Whitebeard dying, everything, but now it is from the lens of Emu. We could see how Emu feels about all of this stuff. And there is one more thing to note here, and that is during the Paramount War, Emu didn't knew who Luffy or Blackbeard were. For him, it was just two normal pirates, Monkey D. Luffy and Marshall D. Teach. But later he knew what Luffy's and Blackbeard's heritage were. They were both Joy Boy and Davy Jones. So later on in the arc, or later on in Emu's life, Emu referred to them as both Joy Boy and Davy Jones, not as Luffy and Blackbeard. So these two strike points alone could be enough to provide a little bit of substance to why I think Emu is going to die here in Elbaf. And it is probably going to be something like a self-destruct button Emu would just press in order to bring down Nidhogg and Joy Boy. Maybe something like that, because I don't know what Oda is going to cook with the story right now if he just, kills off Emu. So again, we believe in Oda. One Piece is one of the best anime stories of all time, and that is the reason why everyone wants to see what Oda could do with Imu right now. And if Oda thinks that killing off Imu in Elbaf is a right call, I'll totally support that, and let's just hope he just do the most amazing stuff we could see with Imu for now. Now let us talk about the powers of Imu. A little bit of disclaimer, and that is during the recording of this video the official translation is not yet out. So the official power system or the power of Imu is not yet out. But what we could see from the other translation or scans is that Imu's power is the devil fruit. So it is kind of weird, but it also makes sense, right? If my boy's power is just devil fruits, so him giving powers to everyone else like the Gyuki transformation or the Elder's transformation, the power of regeneration, everything would make a lot of sense because his power is literally the devil fruits. Although it would also make a question about how did Joy Boy's devil fruit or the Nika devil fruit or the Nidhogg devil fruit came into existence if the power of the whole devil fruit system itself was under Imu. So we could just make a wild guess, and that is during the Void Century something happened and Imu got corrupted, and right now the whole devil fruit power thing is currently under Imu, and he is doing everything he can to stop everything right he did before corruption, like making the whole Nika fruit, the Nidhogg fruit and every other fruit. He probably made all of them before he got corrupted or something along of that sort. Again, when the official translations comes out, it would be even more clear, and we could always talk about that in a later video. This chapter had even more things to discuss that we haven't yet discussed, and that is the power of Ragnir. So when you get struck by Ragnir's ice and you get frozen, the only way to release you is that you have to be struck by Ragnir again, or Ragnir is the only thing that could release you, and you do not die when you are under Ragnir's ice power. So the giants who are being frozen in Punk Hazard, currently known as the giants of the Galella company, are probably being frozen there by the previous wielder of Ragnir, and I think Loki is going to go there and unfreeze them. That is going to be a very interesting plot to see in the future, but again, that is right now on the plates, and it is pretty interesting to see how things are coming full circle, because we just knew about this giant for a long time, right? Punk Hazard was a long time ago, so right now things are coming full circle, and that is also an indication that again One Piece is in its final arc. And another thing to discuss here, that is Saint Summers, right? So Saint Summers' mechanical heart is now being revealed. Although I did thought in the last chapter that it could be a transmitter and Saint Summers could be sending a message to the Holy Land, but again it is revealed to be a mechanical heart, and this would be a kind of a sympathetic way to show that why Saint Summers is the way he is, right? He doesn't even have a real heart, so his way of twisted love is kind of being justified here, although I don't think Saint Summers is a character that could be redeemed in the future. And we also saw that Zoro, when he saw the whole metallic heart, he's just like, hey, can we just cut it? And seeing the expression on Saint Summers, we could say that the whole regeneration thing could stop when Zoro cuts off the mechanical heart. Now, is that same thing going on with the other Holy Knights? We just don't know about that yet, although we might get confirmation about that in the upcoming chapters. And one more thing, that is, we just saw Shamrock flex. You know, the whole thing, the burning of the Holy Land, Shamrock single-handedly, or it is implied that Shamrock did the most heavy lifting to stop that incident, and currently it is probably under control thanks to Shamrock. So again, Shanks' twin brother doing the heavy lifting, not a big deal. I could see a battle between Shanks and Shamrock very soon enough, or a battle between Blackbeard or Shamrock as well, although both of the scenarios are pretty interesting. So with that, right now our chapter analysis ends here. If you guys stick towards the end, be sure to like our video, subscribe to our channel Animotion, share this video with your fellow One Piece and anime fans, and with that out of the way, I'm out. Peace.